G'day everyone, this is James here, back for another YouTube series on modding Total War Attila. Today I'm going to show you how to mod your own scenario battle. These are also called scripted battles or historical battles. Now over here on the left hand side, if you go to the battles tab and then click on historical battles, you can see all of the battles that are available in default Total War Attila. These have all been created by Creative Assembly. Now, the whole point of a scripted battle is that you're able to create a particular scenario for the player. For example, you decide what map all the action takes place on. You decide what factions are fighting each other, what units each faction will have, whether reinforcements will arrive halfway through the battle, whether there'll be a really cool cutscene. You can create the Battle of Agincourt, the Battle of the Bastards from Game of Thrones. You can really create anything you want. For the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to be recreating the Fords of Eisen battle for the Dawnless Days mod. This is because the most recent update for the Dawnless Days broke that battle, and so I want to remake it, and I figured why not make a tutorial while I'm at it. So what we're going to do is we're going to quit Total War Attila. We're going to go to Steam, click on Total War Attila, and we're going to go to the workshop. Once we're here, we're going to search for scenario battles. And then we're going to click on the third one here, the template and tutorial scenario battles. And we're going to click subscribe. We're now going to go back to our Steam library, right click on Total War Attila and click properties. We're then going to go to installed files and click browse. Now, this is our Total War Attila folder. The first thing you want to do, if you haven't done this before, is to right click on your data folder and click pin to quick access or pin to start. This will mean that your data folder will show up down here. So if I just click on it here, I'm instantly in my data folder. You can see though that the mod I just subscribed to isn't in here. What you will need to do is go to up here where it says Steam Apps, click that, click Workshop, click Content, 325610, which is the code for Total War Attila, and then 313546529, which is code for my mod. So I'm going to highlight this, click Cut, go to my data folder, and then paste it in here. And I'm going to sort alphabetically. Now, like I said before, the whole point of this tutorial is that I'm remaking the Fords of Eisen battle. So I'm going to rename this pack to Caligula FOI Remake, FOI being short for Fords of Eisen. I'm going to copy that name and also rename the PNG file as well. Now I'm going to use the pack file manager to open this pack. You can also use Rusted Pack File Manager. Now I'm going to expand this. If we go to Total War Attila, we can now go to, let's try and get rid of that. Sorry, I didn't notice that in the video overlay was there. We can now toggle this mod on, and we can launch the game. If we go to historical battles again, you can see that first off, the first thing that catches your attention is that the background map is a map of RuneScape. Now, this comes from the campaign maps main Attila map PNG, which I'll explain later. In database folder, you have 3 tables here. I'll talk about the bottom one first, so videos table. I find this table very useful because what it does is it disables the videos that play when you start Total War Attila. As a modder, you're going to be exiting and restarting Total War Attila quite a few times, so this just makes the startup process so much quicker. Now, Battles Table and Historical Battles Table. First of all, Battles Table is telling the game where to find your historical battle. So you can see that in this pack, the historical battle is called TUT_template. This stands for Tutorial Template. Now, it's not compulsory, but I find that quite a few historical battles have a 3-letter prefix, so I just continued that tradition, and I find it's quite useful. So, Tutorial Template. Now we're telling the game where to look for the battle.xml, and so you can see that we're telling the game to look in the script folder, look in Tutorial Template folder, and then look for tutorial_battle.xml. The game also wants to know where your screenshot small.png is. So again, script, tutorial template, screenshot small PNG, and you can see that it's here. Now, you're probably asking, what is this? The screenshot small, if you hover over your battle, you can see in the top right corner a tiny little picture. If you then click on the battle, you can see a larger picture. And it's basically just the front page of your historical battle, I suppose. It's just a 5112 by 256 PNG, which just gives a little bit of information, or it could be a bit of artwork for your battle. Now, if we go to Historical Battles UI locations, this table tells the game what coordinates the battle can be found at. So 474659. And what this refers to is where on this screen in game. So down here is 474659. If I close those, we'll now go to Lua scripts. Now there are 4 scripts in here. dev.lua, loggingcallbacks.lua, and util.lua all relate to a few scripts that myself and other modders have made which will really help you create your historical battle. Please don't edit these free files unless you really know what you're doing. Here in front-end historicalbattles.lua, we have a list of the historical battles that the game recognizes. So first of all, we have all of the vanilla Attila ones, which I've just kept there as an example. And you can see that every historical battle is followed by a comma, except for the last one, which is important to remember. If we close that, we then come to our script file. Now we can see that there are 2 folders in here, Historical Battle Library and Tutorial Template. Now the Historical Battle Library just contains a few scripts that myself and other modders have created. For example, reinforcement scripts, or scripts which, depending on the difficulty level that the player chooses, for example, from easy, normal, hard, very hard to legendary, whether certain units will be removed entirely, certain units will be damaged, or certain units won't even spawn in as reinforcements. We then have every single Lua file from Rome 2 and Attila historical battles, so that you can look at these historical battles and see how they were made. We also have a OneDrive folder here containing quite a few resources, which also contains all of these historical battles and a number of custom ones created by a few modders, and this will be hopefully expanded upon by your own mod. If we go back to our pack file, we'll close that. You can see that in the tutorial template folder we have 6 files. As I explained, the screenshot's small. Now the battle XML really controls what units and factions and what your battle's about, really. So we can see, first of all, there's Alliance 0. Now Alliance 0 is all of the armies that the player will that are on the player's team, I mean. And you can see it's made up of just one army here. which is the Western Roman Empire, and it's only got one unit, a unit of Western Auxilia Palentina. You can see Alliance 1 down here, which is the AI. It's made up of one army again, the Eastern Roman Empire, which has a unit of Eastern Auxilia Palentina. I'll come to this later. Now, commands.lua. The version that you're downloading will probably have a few extra commands that I'll put in as I'm making this tutorial, but this is just a list for all of your functions. Now, your functions are scripts that you can then toggle on. So this is just what this script is made up of, and then you can use the function Caligula _disable units, and you can disable certain units, which I'll explain as I go through. Now the cutscenes.lua, this controls what happens during your cutscene. So for example, you can have units spawn in at the start of the game, spawn in 35 meters back from where they should be, and so during the cutscene they'll be walking those 35 meters. So that's the unit movement during the cutscene. You then have camera movement, and you can see camera movement here, and that's telling the camera what it should be doing. I've then added another script here, which we just spoke about in commands.lua. This disables all of the enemy's units and your units so that they don't attack each other during the cutscene or immediately after the game starts. This just helps whilst you're setting up your battle, and then once your battle's all set up, you would delete this. If we go to declarations.lua, this is telling the game what each unit is going to be called. So if we go back to battle.xml quickly, you can see the first unit of Western Auxilia Palentina. The game calls this unit, or I've called this unit, tutorial _01. In declarations.lua, you can then see tutorial _01 belongs to the player's army, and the game recognizes that as S unit _tutorial 01. And there's a group, S unit tutorial all, of which that unit is one of many. Well, at the moment, just one of one. But then you would add more units in here. For example, S unit 101, and then S unit 102, for example. In tutorial start.lua, this is telling the game, we don't need to edit this at the moment, it shouldn't be need to be edited all that much, but this is just telling the game what to do when the battle starts. And then down here we have the historical battle cutscene and unit position script, which we'll get to more as we go. So, the first thing we want to do is we want to drag this to one side, we want to go to our data folder, and we want to click up here, and we want to copy and paste the directory. We then want to go to TUT template, and we want to extract that to your data folder. Sort alphabetically, and you can see a script folder. If you go into here, you can see that the TUT template is here, and all your files are here. Now this is an incredibly handy tip that I learnt, which means that you can edit these files on the fly whilst you're in game. Then all you have to do is exit your historical battle, and when you relaunch it, these files will all be updated. All we have to do is delete them from our Caligula FOI remake pack. Now, to do that, we're going to have to exit the game so that we can save this without them being in here. Now, before we start the game... Oh, sorry. So, that's a very, very quick overview of what we're doing. Now, let's actually start editing these files. So first of all, we're going to want to go to Battles table, and we're going to want to rename our battle. So we're just going to rename it FOI/remake. In here, in specification, we're also going to rename this FOI remake, and we're going to rename the battle FOI battle.xml. We're also going to rename this folder here. In historical battle locations, UI locations, we're going to change this from a tutorial template to FOI remake. In Lua scripts, in frontend historical battles.lua, we're going to rename tutorial template to FOI remake. And then finally, actually no, sorry, sorry, I didn't explain about this, but the text file, this is just the name of your battle and a description of the battle. So we're going to rename both, we're going to change both of these as well. And absolutely random. There we go. And we're just going to save that. Now we're going to go drag this to one side, and we're going to go back to our data folder. We're going to go to script, and we need to rename this as well. So we're going to rename this to Forward Divide and Remake. And we're going to rename each of these to FOI battle.xml. Oops. Oh, easy. Now we've renamed the battle, and it's our own battle now. What do we want to do? Let's change the campaign map first. Let's change what that looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my working folder. In my downloads folder, I've just got a working folder called Forward Divide and Remake. And if we double left click on this file, you can see that it's a massive map of RuneScape. However, if you noticed beforehand, not all of this map actually shows up in game. For example, you couldn't see any of Mauritania, or down here, the Caridian Desert or Karamunja. The reason for this is you want to go to the Google Drive folder, and you want to download main Attila map template and historical battles UI locations template. I've already got both of these downloaded here. So if I open up the main Attila map template, you can see it's a pretty ugly looking file like this. I'll copy this. I'm in paint.net at the moment. You can use GIMP or Photoshop, but I'll copy this image. I'll go back to this map. I'll open a new layer, and I'll put this over it, and then I'll change the transparency of this layer. And now you can see that only the picture that is within this white square will actually show up in game. Everything that is outside that square won't show up. Now I don't know why this is, I can't answer any questions. All I know is it is what it is, and we need to work around it, I suppose. So I'd probably suggest just using the same size image as what I've got here, 1549 by 1374. Now, I'm making a map for the Dawnless Days, not for RuneScape. So, let's change the background image. So I've got one back here. I've got a map of Middle-earth. Now, let's add our layer back in, and let's lower the opacity. And you can see I've already set this up. So the stuff that I want, all of this is within the white square. And the stuff that will unfortunately get cut is everything in the black. Now you can see, because I wasn't 100% sure about whether this square is pixel perfect, I've done some very shonky photo editing up here just to roughly copy the colour of the parchment, but it's very shonky. I don't know how to do Photoshop. Anyway, we've got this. This is the file we want. So what we want to do is we want to copy our working folder, so just whatever we're working with, we're going to right click on the main Attila map.png, extract selected, and then copy in this directory. Now we're going to copy our map down here, main Attila map, and we're just going to override that one. Then we're going to delete this one from our pack, and we've still got this directory copied. We're going to right click on where it says campaign maps. We're going to click add, and then we're going to click add from directory. And we've just added our new file in this map of Lord of the Rings. So let's close that. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to work let's add the screenshot small actually. So if we open up our data folder, go to script, go to FOI remake, and open up our screenshot small, you can see it's just a dumb little quest thing that I created. The one I want to use though is this one, which is some artwork depicting the Battle of the Fords of Isen. So I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to open up the one from the FOI remake folder, and I'm just going to paste it over and save it. Easy peasy. Let's launch the battle now. Let's launch Total War Attila, just so I can show you what we've done. Here we go. Now let's go to Historical Battle. And you can see that we now have a map of Lord of the Rings in the background. We also have our battle down here with our name. If we click on it, we can see the photo, the screenshot, and the random text. Now, it's all the way down here though. What I want to do is I want to move it here onto the River Isen just below the Gap of Rohan. So what we need to do is we need to click F12 or otherwise take a screenshot of what it looks like in game. We're now going to exit Attila again, and we're going to go back to the Google Drive folder, and we're going to download the Historical Battles UI Locations template, which we're going to open. We're then going to go to Steam, click up here View, Recordings and Screenshots, and we're going to grab that screenshot that we just took. And we have it here. Now we're going to copy and paste this template, create a new layer, and paste it on top. And now what it is a little black bar at the top. And what we can do is, if we grab from the top left hand corner and highlight all the way down here to the little pin, and we copy that, and then we create a new file, and we can see that the new file is 474 pixels by 667. And if we go to our pack file, we can see here in database Historical Battles UI Locations 474 by 659. So you can see it's the exact same X coordinates, but the Y coordinates are a little bit off. It's not pixel perfect, but it's pretty good. So it might require a little bit of trial and error. Now what the height percentage refers to is whether your little pin here is going to be above the name. Sorry, I should rephrase that. Whether your title, your battle, will be below the pin, above the pin, or on the pin. I wouldn't recommend setting this at 0. I'd recommend either 50, 75, or 100, something like that. So let's go over here. It'll look better if it's the name of the battle is here and the pin is above it, like that. So let's do that. But we're going to go here, we're going to grab the coordinates, and we're going to drag it down here, and I reckon around there is where we want it. So if we copy that, make a new file, and you can see we want our coordinates to be 302 by 495. So we'll just enter that in here, 302, 495, and we'll save that. And that should be pretty much roughly where we want it in game. Just thinking whether there's anything else I need to edit at this stage. No, so that's it. So let's launch Total War Attila for not the last time, but probably the second last time. Launch the game again. Go to historical battles, and you can see that our little pin is pretty much where we wanted it. We might raise it a few pixels if we really wanted to, but look, that's pretty good. Oh, so we've got all of this working, but, well, we haven't fucking done anything, have we? Like, we don't have a battle in game, we haven't changed any of the units, we haven't customized anything, this is just, who cares, who gives a shit about what we've done so far? So what you want to do is go to custom battle. And here is where you can kind of plan out your battle. So first of all, you want to choose what battle map you want it to take place on. So you can just choose a random battle map. Just click anywhere. And if you like the look of that, you can just note down the coordinates here. 337 by 233. Or let's say, and that's a land battle. Let's say you want a city assault. You can just choose any city. Let's say we want Constantinople. 509 by 485. Or we can grab one up here. 683 by 237. Just choose whatever battle you want. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our Google Drive. Sorry, let's just close a few of these folders. We're going to go back to our Google Drive. And we're going to open up the scenario battle generator. And this is where we're going to be creating our battle. Now I've got a preset here, one that everyone can access, but only I can edit. So what you want to do is you want to click download, you want to click file, and you want to click make a copy. And you'll be making a copy of this to your own Google Drive account, which means that you need Google Drive. And it should have shown up here. Yep, copy of scenario battle generator public access. And we're just going to rename this scenario battle generator, and we're just going to rename this version 2 for now because I've got my own one here. And so this is where we can input certain data. So first of all, it wants to know what is our battle prefix. So this is, if we, this refers to this, so FOI underscore. So FOI is our battle prefix, so we're going to rename this to FOI. Then it wants to know what battle map do we want to use. Do we want to use a Total War Attila battle map, or do we want to use a custom battle map? And you can enter the coordinates here. Or, if you want a custom battle map, it'll ask you to enter the map name and to delete this coordinate down here. So, as I said, we're remaking the Fords of Eisen. So what I want to do is I want to get that map into my mod. So if I go to my data folder, open up Fords of Eisen remake, and then I'll click add from pack, and I've already got all the map data here, and I'm just going to add all of this map data. And now we can play the Fords of Eisen map. So it's asking, what is the name of your battle? And so here, terrain, tiles, battle, assembly kit, you can see that it's just Fords of Eisen. So I'm going to right click and copy that, and then I'm going to paste that there, and I'm going to delete that. Now it's asking, what type of map is this? Is it a land battle? Is it a naval battle, a port assault, a settlement, like a city assault? So what it is, it's just a land battle. And then it wants to know, what weather do we want? I mean, what time of day? The daytime or nighttime? So we're going to say daytime. What season? Spring, summer, autumn, winter? Is it dry? Is there fog? Is there rain? Is there snow? And then it's asking, what is the particular weather environment that we want the game to launch? Now, unfortunately, I don't know a way to test these. other than just choosing different ones and doing trial and error. And there's quite a big list of them here. But I know that I like this one. Weather, Rome, Mediterranean, default, land, day, dry, day, Mediterranean, clear. It's an alright one. Now it's asking, do you want the battle to be timed or not timed? So essentially what this is saying is, should the battle go for a certain amount of time? For example, should it go for an hour? And then, at the end of that hour, does the player win if they manage to survive for an hour? Or does the AI win if they manage to survive for an hour? Or alternatively, they win because the player lost. And so, this is useful for setting up your battle because it makes sure that there's a timer in the top of the screen that you can keep track of the in-game time. So for example, you can see 5 seconds have elapsed. Let's do the next screenshot. Let's set up the camera in this position for the next 10 seconds. And so it's quite useful. So it's asking for the duration of the battle in seconds. 3,600 seconds is 60 minutes. And now it's asking who's going to win if 60-minute runs out. And so we want the player to win. We're not going to change the units or the factions just yet, or any of this. And we're going to ignore this stuff up here. We're actually going to... no, we'll just keep that as is. Now it's saying, do you want to set up the... Actually, no, sorry, we do want to change that. Let's change that to 1940 and that to... and delete both of those. No, I think 1924, sorry. This will be at whatever value when you download it. Now we want to go to this one here. Are you ready to generate the battle.xml? And you want to say, yes, I am. Now what this will do is this will generate both the battle.xml and the declarations.lua files. Now we haven't done anything to declarations.lua just yet, so we'll ignore that. But we'll go to the battle.xml and we'll go up here and we'll click File, Download, Tab Separated Values. And now we'll go to our Downloads folder and we'll open that up. Sorry, let's, I've got a few files still open from last time. And now we'll go back to our data folder, script folder, forward divide and remake, and we're going to go to our battle.xml this time. We're going to highlight everything using Control A from this one that's been generated. We're going to copy those and we're going to paste them across. And then we're just going to save that. And you can see here that it has everything that we just asked for. So you can see, first of all, it replaced the battle script, so it's telling the game where to find start.lua, and it's renamed that to forward divide. It's told the game that we want to play during the day, and summer, dry, it's a normal map. We want a timer. The player, aligned 0, will win if the time runs out. It's told the game what weather we want, and it's told the game what battle map we want to play on, and it's also changed the playable area dimensions for us. So now, let's launch Total War Attila. Now, this should probably be the last time we need to launch Total War Attila, and as I said, I'm making this mod for the Dawnless Days. So, I'm going to turn the Dawnless Days on in the background. Now we're in game, we'll go to historical battles, and we'll click on our battle, and let's launch it. Let's see what we've actually been doing this entire episode. So first off, you can see that we've got our battle map in the background. Well, now we're in game. You can see, we've got the battle map, we've got the forward dividing working. You can see that our unit is here. Sorry, that's a mistake, that shouldn't be there. But the enemy unit is also underneath it. I'll need to change those coordinates again. and it's looking pretty fab. So, what's next? Well, in the next, we're going to do two things in the next episode, and they're both related to the battle map. First of all, if we look in the top right, you can see that there's a ford here which the player or the AI could cross to get from one side of the river to the next. And I don't actually want that. So you can see that the edge of the map is back here. I want to drag the edge of the map from here all the way to here, so that the player or the AI won't be able to cross this ford. Sorry, I should have just said, but you'll notice there's lots of sea around us in every single direction. That's because this map isn't on the tile map. It's a custom battle map, so the game doesn't really know where to place it. And that also creates another issue for us, because as you can see here, all custom battle maps, if you try to use them as battles in the game as a historical battle, it will create this really weird bug, this triangle bug, where wherever you've got grass, so you've got two options. You can either just delete all grass on your map, which isn't a very good option. Or what we can do is we can get this battle working on the battle tile map, and that will mean this grass bug will, one, be removed, but also there'll be land all around us, so it won't just be bottomless ocean and it won't look as weird. So we're going to do both of those things next episode. Unfortunately, we're not going to change our units just yet. That'll happen eventually, but we're not doing it just yet. But anyway, that's been episode 1. I've hopefully explained the bare bones of how to get your units, bare bones of how to edit your own battle, and then I've shown you how to do that. But I'll see you next time for battle, let's call it 1.5. But yeah, thanks for following along.